Hey everybody, this is Rykard here again, and welcome to the next Pokemon Sets video, this time featuring Bibarel. Now this is a Pokemon I've wanted to take a look at for a pretty long time, and I think I've come up with some pretty decent sets for this video. So why don't we get started right away like we always do by taking a look at its typing, abilities, and stats. So first off, Bibarel is a very unique Pokemon in that it possesses the very unusual normal water typing, and I think it's the only Pokemon in the game that has this. And now this typing is absolutely fantastic from an offensive standpoint because there are very few things that will resist both of your stab. And the only two that can really come to mind right off the top of my head are Jellicent and Empoleon, both of which you won't have to worry about because Bibarel is an NU Pokemon. But as for its abilities, the first one that Bibarel gets, and the one it is most famously known for, is Simple, which is an ability that doubles the effectiveness of stat boosts. So for example, if you use a move like Curse, rather than getting +1 attack, +1 defense, -1 speed, you'll actually get +2 attack, +2 defense, -2 speed. It works the same way in the sense that if your opponent comes in with an Intimidate on Bibarel, it'll actually become -2 attack as opposed to -1 like the norm. So it does have its pros and cons, but if you are able to set up with Bibarel, which is basically what this Pokemon is known for being able to do, it can become incredibly threatening very quickly. As for its second ability, it is also a nice ability for it to get, which is known as Unaware. And this ability makes it so that you actually ignore the stat boosts of your opponent. So for example, if your opponent is boosting up and you bring Bibarel, it won't even acknowledge those boosts at all. So the increased damage that it would normally be doing if it had the boosts won't even be taken into consideration. As for the last ability, though, it is known as Moody, which is an ability that increases a stat and decreases a stat randomly every single turn. And for reasons because of its complete randomness, this ability is currently banned in competitive play, so I really wouldn't worry about it too much, but just to let you know, it does have that ability. As for its stats, though, Bibarel's defenses are pretty underwhelming, I would say. Base 79 HP with base 60 defense and base 60 special defense really isn't anything to write home about, but they are pretty decent if you do want to just fully invest in one defense stat. So like max HP, max special defense, or something like that. Then it would be able to take some hits, but don't expect it to do a lot of walling from both sides of the spectrum at the same time. As for its attacking stats, though, it does have a base 85 attack, which is pretty good, and also a base 75 special attack, which is not very good, unfortunately. However, Bibarel does have a bunch of moves that it can use to boost these attacking stats very quickly with a simple ability, thus making it very threatening if it gets the chance to set up. And lastly, it has base 71 speed, which is kind of like a sort of below average speed, but not terrible either. So it can be pretty fast if you give it a decent EV investment, but it's not going to be one of like the top sweepers in the tier, unfortunately. But that's about it for the little overview of this Pokemon, so let's get into the first moveset that I have for you today. So for this first set, we're going to start by giving Bibarel an Impish Nature to increase its physical defense but lower its special attack, and then we're going to be going with the ability Unaware. As to the EVs, we're going to put 252 into our HP, 4 for our attack, and 252 EVs into our defense to give us our max HP and max defense possible. And as for the item, we are going to be going with Leftovers as a way to recover a little bit of HP every turn. For the moves, though, Bibarel is actually very unique in the sense that it does learn Stealth Rock, but most people don't realize that it actually gets that move. So why not have Bibarel set up entry hazards? I mean, it's fantastic, and being a water type, it actually matches up very well against a lot of other Stealth Rock users, because it'll have generally a super effective move against a Pokemon like Golem or something like that. I would obviously watch out for Cacturne, but in general, it seems like a pretty favorable matchup all around. But with Stealth Rock, we're actually going to make use of Bibarel's very wide move pool and turning it into also a para-flinching Confusioner. So we're going to start by giving it Waterfall as its main form of stab, and obviously Waterfall also does have that 20% chance to flinch, which is very useful if you want to prevent your opponent from attacking. For its next move, though, it also learns Swagger, which is absolutely fantastic with the Unaware ability, because how this works, and I mentioned it before, obviously, your opponent will take the +2 attack into consideration when calculating damage from when it hits itself in Confusion, but in all honesty, Bibarel is completely ignoring that because of the Unaware ability. So you get all the benefits of the plus attack without any of the drawbacks, which is really cool. And lastly, we're obviously going to be using Thunder Wave as a form of confusion. Isn't that really weird that this Pokemon learns Thunder Wave? I mean, sorry, paralysis. I said confusion, but isn't that really weird? But I love it. So we're just gonna go with that anyway. So yeah, you get a Stealth Rocker with a Parafusion flinching set. If you really wanted to, you could replace Stealth Rock with Substitute as a way to potentially get behind a protective barrier and then harass your opponent with the combination of those three moves. That's also a potential option, but I personally like running Stealth Rock on it because it allows it to have a little bit more utility and also be very annoying because it sets up hazards for the remainder of the game. But overall, this is a very solid defensive Bibarel set, and I've actually been using it a lot on the Showdown video where I used the quote-unquote TE tier team. This is the same Bibarel set that I was using. But with that, let's take a look at the next set that I have for you in this video actually the next set will be one of two that are more of an offensive boosting set for this Pokemon. So for this next set, we're going to start by giving Bibarel a Timid Nature to increase its speed but lower its physical attack, and then we're going to be going with the ability Simple this time. For the EVs though, we're going to put 252 into our special attack, 4 for our special defense, and then 252 EVs into our speed to give us our max special attack and max speed. Now I know before that I did say that Bibarel's special attack really isn't that fantastic, but since it does have a couple ways of boosting it, why not use it? And as for the item, we're going to be going with a Salac Berry as a way to increase our speed. For the moves though, the first one that we're going to go with is either going to be Substitute or Endure. Substitute obviously great because you can set up a sub, be behind a protective barrier against like non-attacking moves like statuses and stuff like that, and proceed to set up behind that. Whereas Endure is really good because it'll allow you to endure a hit and then automatically get your Salac Berry activated if it takes you below 25% of your health. Obviously, you'll always live with 1 because of how Endure works, and that can be extremely useful in a pinch if your opponent has a Scarf Pokemon out and it's sweeping your team and you're like, oh wait, I have a Bibarel with Endure. So I endure the hit, take the +2 boost that Salac Berry provides because of a simple ability, and then proceed to kill the Scarfer. We're actually going to see a video of that later, but that's actually really useful for a set like this. So either one would work. It's basically up to you which one you want to use. But for the next move on the set, it's going to be our main water type stab in the form of Surf. Unfortunately, Bibarel does not get Hydro Pump, but Surf is still pretty good. 95 base power, always accurate, and you can't really go wrong with that. If you did want an added utility though, you could potentially go with Scald anyway, a little bit less base power, but you do have that chance to burn, which could be extremely useful. So really either one is whichever one you want to go with, but I just put Surf here because if you're looking for damage, that's the best option to go with. As for your second move though, Ice Beam is also there for for more all-around coverage. Obviously Ice Beam being very useful against grass types that would want to come in and take out Bibarel, being weak to it. So that's really good coverage from between those two moves. As for your last move slot though, you could either go with Charge Beam or Workup. Now, am I the only one that thinks it's weird that it learns Charge Beam? But it does, so that's awesome. And if you don't know how Charge Beam works, it's a pretty weak special electric move. I think it's 50 base power. It has 90% accuracy, but it has a 75% chance of boosting your special attack. So with the simple ability, once Charge Beam's secondary effect activates, you actually get +2 special attack. So it's like nasty plotting, but using a move to damage your opponent. And if you take a look at the other two moves on the set, being Surf and Ice Beam, you actually do have a little bit of a weakness to hurting water types. So having Charge Beam, which is super effective against them, is extremely useful. But if you want a more consistent form of special attack increasing, because Charge Beam doesn't always work and it can miss. Workup is obviously there as a way to give you +2 special attack very consistently, though it does limit your attacking options a little bit because you are prone to being walled by water types with the rest of the set. But overall, this is a really effective way to turn Bibarel into a special attacker if you ever wanted to try it, and I suggest that you give this set a shot because it's really fun when it works, and it's really cool to boost up the way that you do while using this set. As for this last set though, this is basically the physical equivalent of the previous one. So we're going to start by giving Bibarel a Jolly Nature to increase its speed but lower its special attack, and again we're going to be going with the simple ability. For the EVs though, this time we're going to go with 252 into our physical attack, 4 for our special defense, and 252 EVs into our speed to give us our max speed and max physical attack possible. And for the item, again, we're going to be going with the Salac Berry to increase our speed +2 because of the simple ability. For the moves though, again, the first option is either going to be a toss-up between Substitute or Endure. Both have their benefits, so it's really whichever one you want to go with. But for a boosting move this time, we're actually only going to be able to make use of Workup because this isn't going to be a cursing Bibarel set like a lot of other common ones are. But Workup is great because you don't get the minus speed reduction that Curse provides while also boosting your attack by the same amount. So we'll get up to +2 every single time, or will be increased by 2 stages every single time we use Workup. And with that, we have just a really solid combination of Waterfall and Return. There's really not much else to say about this set other than that if you can set up, you're pretty much golden because you'll be faster than pretty much everything. And with a Workup under your belt, you'll have over 520 attack as like the general number. And you have some pretty unresisted stab, as I said before, in the form of Waterfall and Return. So overall, this is just a really solid physical attacking set for Bibarel. A little bit more reliable than the special attacking one, but nobody really expects the special attacking one. So this is actually pretty cool to use it very effectively from the physical side. So with that, let's actually take a look at a little bit of a clip that I had that I took from Showdown of me using this set against one of my opponents. So I start things off here by showing you that the sock is causing me a little bit of trouble. So I bring him a barrel, go for Endure, and I'm able to live this close combat. And since I know I can threaten him out very easily right now, I knew he was going to switch, so I went for Workup. Now I'm at +2 physical attack, +2 speed, and I'm able to one-shot this Executor with Return, outspeed the Braviary, one-shot that with Return, and then outspeed Sock being at +2, even though he was Scarfed, and kill that with Return. So that's pretty much how that works. There's really not a better demonstration of that than what you just saw right there. So yeah, that's pretty much Bibarel in a nutshell. And that would have been funnier if it was a squirrel, but it is a beaver, unfortunately. But anyways, that's it for this video, everyone. So I hope you enjoyed this Bibarel exhibition. A couple of pretty good sets for this Pokemon, depending on what you want to do with it. So I suggest you give them a shot and get back to me on how well they worked. So as always, everybody, thank you for watching. Take care and goodbye. I'll see you next time.